We are now recording. I'm gonna move this over this direction. So at least you can see what's going on.
Yeah, it's still a little, we've got a little bit too much headspace again now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what, you might want to move that down. Maybe even come in on us just a teeny bit, I don't know. That's good, that's better.
Why is it being
That's
wiggly
better.
like that?
I know, it's better.
Is that about right?
Well, I don't know the exact rule, but I'm thinking maybe teeny bit more down, just slight, just barely. Well, of course, then we're having a lot more desk. No, back up. Too much desk. I think that's good.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering if you got our off level again. You're going to be taller than me. You know what, Garth? You need to go up a teeny bit. I'll tell you why. Because your head is going to be taller than mine.
About there?
Come try it. Come sit on yourself and we'll see where you fit in here. As long as your head's not cut off. Okay, well when you're leaning back, we're okay.
Yeah, if I'm leaning back, we're okay, aren't
If
we?
we go forward, then your head will get cut. Yeah, I think that's good though.
You know what
We're
my
still in there.
ex-wife used to do? She'd always shoot me like this.
And some pictures are shot like that. I think that's good.
She actually did it on purpose. I thought that was.
I'm wondering if
I do need
that
to be
camera
back,
is,
don't I?
and I think the camera might be tilted down my way a teeny bit again.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe it's just my perception with you there.
You know what? Maybe can you raise your chair a little bit and then you get closer to my height?
Let's do that.
Actually.
Okay, that's better. That looks better with me a little higher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. What do you think?
Yeah.
Does that look about right to you?
Yeah. And I don't have any reason to lean forward. I think when I do, I'm way too much. So I'll just I'll stay back here
Hang
and
back?
just hang back and be comfortable.
Okay.
I might even scoot back a little.
No, because then I'll look like I'm too close to the...
Yeah.
Like my body's right here and yours is back there.
Is that?
I think that's good.
I
I think
can't
that
see the
looks
left side of the
natural.
screen.
Yeah, it looks good. It's
Okay.
really good. And I think we're pretty balanced. There's a teeny bit more space on my right than there is on your left, but I don't think that's a problem.
Okay. Well, all
Your
right.
chair is showing more than yours.
Your what?
My chair is showing more than yours.
Yeah, that's
okay.
because I got a little one. Because
It's okay. You know what?
it's
You're
a
bigger
squeak
than I
bucket.
am, so it kind of actually gives me a little bit more weight.
You always wanted more weight.
I would make a comment on that, but with your wife not in the room, I better not. Only in certain places.
Okay, let's see. Let's go back over to here. Oh, I don't want to do that though because maybe I'll just hide this for a minute. I think 3 monitors is awesome cool. Okay, are we ready to do this?
Yeah. Do we even need those monitors right there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who's that?
we're not using Audacity. It's all camera today.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Let be.
All right. Welcome to the Home Medic, where we help you keep your money in your wallet and your family out of the hospital. And in the studio today, as always, the beautiful and talented Heidi Hansine.
Hey, it's so fun to be with you today.
We've got a pretty good topic today. Fencing. I want to explain a number of items that is just hard to find anywhere on what kind of fencing to do, how to maintain it, you know, what to pick depending on the needs of your family, what your options are that might not be quite so standard.
Right.
And as always, how to keep the family out of the hospital.
Of course.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to do is cover different types of fencing. You've got, and we're going to cover each of these separately. You got the cedar fencing, you've got the split rail, redwood, And we're going to talk briefly about bamboo fencing.
Oh, hey.
It's a way cool look.
I bet. And I've never heard of that. It's a new trend, I bet.
It will be after people start watching these podcasts.
Right, exactly.
So in the cedar fencing category, let's say that you want to, maybe you're not into vinyl. Let's say that you want to actually go in and do a wood fence around your home.
Exactly.
You have some options. The first is that, obviously you want to decide whether you want to go 4 or 6 or maybe in your area 8 is allowed if you're living out in...
Are you talking about the posts?
8 foot, the posts and the height as well.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And so that's your first choice. Generally, in a lot of cities, they don't like you to go 8 feet.
Right. There's a lot of ordinances about that.
Yeah. So that may not be one of your options. You'll want to check into the city requirements wherever you live and determine if that's going to be something that you want to need. An example of where an 8-foot fence might be required would be perhaps if you get a swimming pool in the backyard.
Oh, okay.
And it needs to be protected. If you're just doing a standard fence for your backyard, usually 6 feet is the max, and 4 is more of a decorative, pretty much.
Well, then sometimes you have the property line, so you can take the 6 feet out to a certain... I'm on a corner lot.
Uh-huh.
So I know that I can have a 6-foot fence as long as it's behind a certain...
Right.
Distance from the
and
perimeter of the property.
often that distance is 10 feet, but it can vary from city to city.
Okay.
So yeah, then you've got 10 foot of basically wasted backyard.
Exactly.
But
or you have to drop down to a 3 or 4 foot fence.
Right. Sometimes it's better to have the wasted backyard. and then you got to figure out how to get the sprinkler system to do what it needs to do in your 10 feet.
Exactly.
Of wasted backyard. So one of the things you want to do is decide whether you want to go with a dog ear or a picket fence. Now the difference is the dog ear is going to be kind of a dome. It's a 3-cut, 2 at 45-degree angles and 1 horizontal.
Right.
And there's no sharp angles there. Picket fence is just a single spear.
Okay.
And that kind of reminds me of Vlad the Impaler, also known as Dracula, who used
nice
to,
and sharp.
yeah, for entertainment, he used to drop people on stakes like that.
Right, exactly.
And see how they would die.
And it pokes people when they try to get in your backyard. That's the advantage.
As a home inspector, I told that story once, and she says, I'm surprised a nerd engineer like you would know that story, because that's a very goth sort of thing.
That is surprising. Garth, he's more of a Renaissance guy than you can imagine.
Renaissance nerd. So you've got, let's assume that you decide to go with the dog ear, just maybe to annoy the cat, right?
Right.
And so your next choice is whether you're going to paint or stain that. You definitely need to do one or of the above. Painting to me, it's, this is my own personal preference. I think it's a crime to paint wood of whatever variety. Stain allows you a lot more weatherproofing. It's going to be, depending on the stain, it's going to be a little bit more long lasting. I think it's better looking.
Well, I absolutely agree. The paint flakes off, and the UV stain stays on for a long time. I did that on part of my fence, and it worked really well.
Less maintenance, and then when the when paint fails, it's going to start chipping off and just looks bad.
Right, and you can get really creative with the stain colors. You're not limited to just either cedar or dark or
right.
light. There's some fun colors: greenish, grayish, reddish, orangish.
Right. Yeah, some good natural colors that
there are
don't look like I agree. So if you've got the paint chips, if you're doing the paint, that's not good. You do have more paint colors than stain. Pretty much you have, if you go with paint and let's say that you're maybe the artist that wants to go with a purplish brown with some yellow polka dots in between.
Right.
You can do that if you got paint. But if you do that, I'm personally going to go to your house and I'm going to, I don't know, do something bad.
You can paint a mural on your fence if you want.
Yeah. Do that and I'll send you a Christmas card. I want to see it. Send me the photo if you do that.
That's what I'm thinking about doing on mine, a bunch of growing flowers, make it look, it's the ugly. I've got more than one fence. Yeah. I mentioned I've got 3 different types of fences. It's not that continuity that I really want. So we'll talk about that later, but.
Yeah, so you could actually get a muralist to paint a jungle on your
Oh,
fence.
I'm the muralist.
You're the muralist.
Yeah, I'm the faux painter muralist.
Okay.
I go out there and make some make a field of sunflowers.
See, I'm thinking when I've got an unlimited budget, I just go out there and I have a jungle painted on my fence.
That's right.
some monkeys, etc. Stain is fewer coats. Often, if you've got a wood fence, you're going to be doing first a sanding and then a primer, and then you're going to do at least one coat, probably two, of paint. Where if you're doing staining, it's going to be considerably easier than that.
Right.
And then, of course, the stains fade faster, but it's easier to redo.
Well, and it's really more forgiving too in the application.
Uh-huh.
As far as missing, you don't have that spot. Oh, I missed that spot. It looks
That's true. Yeah,
definitely more forgiving.
you're
easier to
definitely
apply.
in the outdoor environment, and let's say that little Johnny throws a mud ball at the fence, and you don't necessarily see that. There's just a little bit of mud or dirt left on the fence itself. You try painting over that, and it's going to flake off in no time at all.
Yeah.
So, 2 votes from us for staining instead of painting.
Thumbs up for that.
Thumbs
stain. UV stain.
You've got a couple of different types of stains. You've got the oil-based stain, and this applies to the paints as well.
Right.
You got the oil base, you got the latex. You actually have a semi-transparent, and that I think is, again, for aesthetics. The more transparent you go, the better off you are. It's nice if you've got a wood fence to actually see the wood.
Right. Right.
And
Semi-transparent is attractive too, though. I have seen.
Right.
That.
Right, and then you got the solid stain, which is still a stain, but you can't see the wood behind there.
Yeah, that's.
And so that to me is more of a paint, but
Kills all the fun, really.
yeah, if there is any fun. And so yeah, those are your options as far as the staining is concerned. You can stain over painted wood. And
Oh, now that's interesting.
yeah, the research that I have done says that you can do that. Obviously, you're going to be a lot more limited in what you can see, but at least you can get a stained color. And the stain level, the second level out, is going to adhere to the paint that's in behind.
So that's almost like putting a glaze on your. That's like redoing your refinishing your kitchen cabinets and doing the paint layer and then the glaze layer. So that does make sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of antiquing the paint, really.
Yeah, and see, you would probably go out there and do something super cool where you got a faux finish over a paint behind, and then it would just look like $1 million.
I might do that.
If I went out there and did that, I'm sure it would look much less attractive.
At first, I was envisioning an older painted fence with the flaking paint coming off and then putting stain over. That wouldn't work, I'm guessing. I'm guessing
No.
you need at least to get a wire brush and repaint it if you want it to look good before you put the stain on, right? Or
That would be true. Yes.
unless your paint is just pretty much gone, then maybe just the wire brush first.
Yeah. True. Yeah, your base coat needs to be well adhered, well attached to the wood, or anything outside of that is going to be a problem as well.
Do you have to worry about the wire brush scratching up the wood too much?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because it's rough wood usually anyway on a fence. It's not
Right.
fine finished.
Yeah. No. The wood can handle a wire brush.
Okay. Good. Good to know.
All right. 2 days to dry is the next note that I have. So let's say that that you're staining or you're painting. It doesn't matter. You want to, before you get your paintbrush out, you probably want to get weather.com out.
Weather.com. Oh, right. Exactly. Watch out for the tornado. You don't want to be out there. Or the windstorm.
Because, yeah, you want to make sure that you've got 2 days for the paint or the stain to dry, or it's going to suffer.
Exactly.
And
what about the heat? Can it 90-degree day can cause a problem too with paint, can't it? Or is that just helpful to get it to dry?
if you use an exterior grade paint, you're okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I say, your first tool in painting is go check the weather report.
Okay.
At least on the outside. Inside, you know what the weather is going to be like for the next couple days. Hopefully, there's no rain indoors.
If so, don't worry about your fence. Get the roof fixed first.
If so, you've got bigger problems than
That's
paint.
right. That's right.
Now, That kind of covers the wood. If you would like to do wood being cedar fencing, there's other kinds of wood. Let's say that you might want to do maybe a split rail fence.
Now, what is a split rail?
So basically, what split rail is they use it outdoor, in maybe farm areas where you've got a couple of posts and then basically just a couple of rails in between. It's not a privacy fence. It's not going to keep anybody or anything in or out of the property. It's just two logs, if you will, that go between posts.
With then cross pieces of
Right.
wood?
And it's mostly used for keeping cattle in.
Okay, it's kind of the ranch effect, isn't it?
Exactly. And you could do that in a city environment. I mean, it would be different. It would kind of put your own statement on it, and it does kind of say, this is my property, which is one of the primary reasons for having a fence.
Right. Just kind of declaring the boundaries.
Yeah.
Where you know you're entering into private territory.
By the way, I should mention that back in college, as the engineer that I already was,
Yeah.
I did some surveying, and I can't begin to tell you how many jobs we got where neighbors were arguing about 12-year fences on my property, and I don't like the fence, so I'm going to make you move it, and blah, blah, blah. What I learned is if you're building a fence, whether or not you like the neighbor, and even whether or not the neighbor agrees, that neighbor might move out and another one moves in, put the fence on your property.
Yes, now that happened with us actually. A neighbor had done a fence and put it a foot into our property when we moved in there. And we were friends. It didn't turn into any challenger, but it could have. But he was very upfront and honest. He said, just to let you know, in case you ever have your property surveyed, I accidentally put my fence a foot over onto your property. So, we kind of just let it go, and it wasn't that big of a deal to us. We had a decent-sized yard, and that foot didn't really compromise us. But you need to be careful when you're putting your fence up. You might even want to get it surveyed so that you're not in a situation where the other neighbor is suing you down the road and you pay for an expensive fence that you have to tear down.
Yeah, tear down and replace.
Yeah.
In my case, I was more than happy. I actually moved my fence line over a full foot. And maybe that was extreme, but I figured, hey, it's all good. I still own the land, and he's got to mow a 1 foot section of my yard.
Hey, there's a strategy. What was I thinking? I should have moved that fence over 10 feet. Exactly.
So that definitely is one of your aha moments, if there is such a thing in this segment of just make sure that you're not causing a problem down the road with the neighbors.
Right.
So you're going to be defining an area with a split rail fence. Like I say, a split rail adds a look and feel. It definitely doesn't add privacy.
Right.
So that is another one of the options. Of course, you've got redwood fencing as well. My problem with redwood, I go back to when my daughter was, 3-ish. She's probably 30 now.
Uh-huh.
And she was running barefoot in a forest, sort of a campground picnic area.
Right.
And she managed to pick up a sliver in her foot that was huge. I mean, it was probably, it was almost an inch long.
Ooh.
And of course it hurt her, and it definitely made things difficult. Here we are out in the middle of nowhere. She's got this massive sliver. What are you going to do?
Right, exactly. You didn't have your first aid kit.
Yeah, I don't even remember what we did, if we tried to dig on it or if we just took her back out of the mountains. But she was, of course, the one that everything bad happened to.
So you got the sliver, yeah.
So now, as the home inspector, I'm very much, it's very much on my radar that I notice splintered wood.
And it does happen. Redwood used to be my very favorite, but we've got some other options now. But
yeah, so if you've got redwood, be it decks or fencing or whatever, you're going to want to make sure that it's in good enough condition so that you're not going to be a sliver factory.
Good point.
The redwood also has some other issues. Speaking again from a personal standpoint, I actually jumped on a nail once. A piece of wood with a nail in had fallen over. and I was jumping and I actually landed on it.
Ah.
And it was one of those big old 16 penny orange nails, and it was very unpleasant to jump on that
And you
thing.
must have gotten your tetanus shot because you're still here.
I am alive. I did not die. But I did spend some very unpleasant time at the doctor's office, feeling while he was pulling pieces of my shoe and my sock out of my foot.
That's exactly what happens. The nail itself is not the only danger. It actually does push the fibers.
Yeah, and I can't begin to tell you how painful that was.
I bet.
And then I spent the next 10 days on the couch with my foot up, suffering and making my wife and my family suffer, because I, of course, am the guy who has to suffer not in private, but in public.
Oh, I thought you were tough.
Yeah.
Last time you had that big injury, I was impressed.
I'm the wimpiest guy in history. So you've got the redwood that you've got the nails, you got the slivers. You want to be paying attention to all of those. Me personally, I don't like nails in wood of any variety. If you're going to attach something, I know a lot of people like nails because the diameter of the nail is bigger than the metal diameter of the screw. But still, from a structural standpoint, you're good. And nails pull out, and then they position themselves to be stepped on or jumped on, as the case may be. So, as you're doing your redwood fencing or your deck or whatever it may be, the home medic prefers screws.
Well, I think people like nails because they can do a nail gun nowadays.
It's true.
And it's just fast and do 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 do.
Yeah. How does that go again?
Do 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 do.
She's good.
I don't know. It's probably more like. No, that wasn't quite it. We'll practice on that later. We'll get you next time.
So screws, screws are better, just because, and especially if you got a screw that's long enough to stay there, because it's going to hold those the fence together, and you're not going to have things tearing off and pulling apart. Quite often, again, as the home inspector, I will see where you'll have maybe the slats that are pulling out from the top. And little kids are playing there, and it's just begging for trouble. Even if they don't step on it, they could tear their whatever on it.
And I can relate to that. That's one of my fence challenges, is the wooden fence that got blown down, like a 10-foot section of it, and we had to prop it back up with kind of one of those really heavy-duty metal bars, the kind that are green and silver mixed, and you get those little ties. And
that's a beautiful aesthetic picture that comes to my mind.
That's right. Isn't that impressive? We're gonna have to resurrect my mansion image in a few minutes.
Even if your mansion is just a 2,000 square foot home in the middle of suburbia.
Right.
That's right.
Decent looking house I have, but the fence was detraction for a while.
So you've got be aware of the loose nails. I mean, your little thing is the slivers. The big thing is those nails. Those will definitely send your family to the hospital.
Well, and with wood, I know you're going to talk about this, but maybe you want to mention in this podcast too, or this video cast.
Yeah.
The cement, you have to make sure that the wood is not in contact with the soil too. That's an issue. You've got to make sure you've got concrete coming up high enough so that you don't get the deterioration, the rotting of the wood.
Yeah, the concrete is awesome. That's called a mow strip, and it prevents you from having to do the weed whacking.
Well, and then you've got the termite issue too that you talked about.
Yeah, and if you've got wood to soil contact, unless that wood has been treated, which redwood has.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to worry
then with cedar fencing you might. With the redwood you're okay.
So you don't have to worry about the cement, or would you still recommend cement?
It will still rot.
And it will hold the posts up a lot much better with cement around them, correct?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, the concrete on your posts, and we will be hitting that actually in another one of the segments. What to make that post setting look like.
Okay.
But the concrete needs to be a particular diameter and depth depending on the height of the post.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll cover that a little bit more in another segment.
All right. Sorry to throw you off.
See how you are. She throws me off.
Curveballs.
I still think you're more of a slider myself.
Okay, slide. I never was good at sliding. I was good at running, good at.
Yeah. She's a slider. Heartwood. Now, there's a number of different grades of redwood fencing. The best stuff is the heartwood, which basically means that it's coming from the heart of the tree.
Oh.
The lesser grades are going to come further out from the center of the tree, and then you're going to start getting knots and discolorations, that sort of thing. Actually, for flooring, personally, I like the lesser grades because they have more coloration.
Interesting.
And I think that's cool. But yeah, the clear all heart is the top grade, which basically means it came from the very center, and it's the strongest, it's the coolest, it's the prettiest, it's the most expensive.
Wow, that's interesting.
And so on. And then the next grade is clear. Then you go to heart clear. Then you go to heart B.
Whoa, we need to get out your paper and pencil. It's
Yes.
getting confusing.
And then there's other grades. And then you've got B and a number of lower grades behind that. So as a general rule, if it says heart, it's probably a better one, but it's not necessarily the best unless it says that it's clear, all heart.
Oh, now I'm really confused. I thought it went heart clear, heart clear, heart clear B.
Boy, now you've confused me.
I have.
Yeah, so
Working
the top
from the
is
inside out, we've got heart.
clear, all heart.
Clear all heart.
Right.
Okay.
And then clear.
And then clear.
And then heart clear.
You wonder why I'm confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Clear heart and then heart clear.
I'm
It's
looking
like,
at the list myself, and
this
it
is
still
like a
confuses me.
mirror image, you know? What is that?
And then you've got B, which, you know, that's the more of the construction grade stuff that is not intended to be pretty. It's just intended to be a construction material.
Okay.
So yeah, and the posts, if you're doing redwood, the post should also be rot resistant. So I mean, you want to place those in concrete, but if you're that homeowner that, and I see them all the time, that just places the post directly in the soil, they will be rot resistant. Doesn't mean they're rot proof, but they're resistant.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll want to use a better grade, like clear all heart or clear.
Clear all heart.
I'm not all heart. I probably
We're going to take his word for it, right? Just take notes.
Yeah, this might be one of those things that where you just say, okay, the more I pay for it, the better off I am.
There you go. Just go on the price.
And go 8 foot for each of the posts if you're doing redwood fencing, because even if you got a 6 foot fence, some of that's got to go below ground.
Right.
And again, we'll talk more about the posts. Now, should we talk about the bamboo fencing?
I'm excited to hear about the bamboo, yes, because I still need to get some continuity in my fence. Maybe I just need to go all bamboo.
So, and bamboo could be cool for a front yard. It's kind of like the split rail. It does not provide any privacy, and it's not going to keep any dog or any human out of the yard.
Oh, okay.
So what it, basically it's just decorative.
I see. Well, maybe
So what you're going to do, and you know what I saw in the research that I did, is maybe somebody will have a piece of bamboo that'll be maybe, I don't know, 18 inches high. Right next to it, they'll have a piece of bamboo that goes 6 inches high.
Okay.
And then they'll go over and they got a 2 foot or 2.5 foot or 3 foot piece of bamboo, maybe not 3, but that provides a very cool look.
So it is more of an oriental effect then, just to have a kind of a low fence.
Right.
Just kind of for effect.
Yeah, it is entirely for effect. But, you know, I mean, if you want to go for effect, one of your choices is just to have a little 4 foot fence or even a 2 foot picket fence that has the rises and falls. But everybody has that.
My chair's getting in your way.
Yeah, everybody has that. If you really want to be unique, then doing bamboo fencing is one of your choices.
That sounds really interesting.
And I probably should put on my website how to get that. So by the time you get this video cast, I'll have on my website how to get to that. And one of the plans is actually to have access to all of these construction materials that you can just get on Amazon through my website. I'll just give you a link and you can just go directly there.
Great resource. So with the bamboo, are they just going to pound each of those individual pieces into the ground, or is there a cement prep with that also?
Yeah, pound would not work.
No?
So your options would be to basically dig a trench and put those in how you like them, and then pour concrete so they stay.
Okay.
Or if you want to be a little more lazy, you could just dig the trench, put them in, and then backfill. But again, then they're going to rot.
They're going to tip around probably too.
Right.
Maybe not making for
Yeah, and then as the kids are walking across them, as they
kick.
are guaranteed to do, or
when the
kicking
soccer
them.
ball
Right.
knocks it over.
But if some of them are just bent over a little bit, then that might be effect.
Might be depressing is what it might be. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can agree with almost everything. I don't know about that. I can just picture my kids. No when we first started talking about bamboo, I said, yeah, maybe for me. By now, I'm like, no way for me. I've got kids slamming that soccer ball in the backyard, and sometimes I'm grateful for the less than beautiful, sturdy metal fence I have.
Definitely sturdy for the backyard. I think if you're going for effect, that's going to be the front yard.
Yeah, I can picture it looking really cool, especially in a contemporary, more oriental type setting.
So let's seems how we're in the oriental mood this time. I guess if we're master of the mansion, maybe the mansion is somewhere oriental.
Wow.
So let's go for maybe the oriental house somewhere in Thailand, and that's the mansion that we're doing. And you, Heidi, are the master of it.
I hear Singapore's pretty cool too.
There you go.
I haven't been to any oriental places, so I can't really.
You will be.
I can't really choose my oriental yet.
Your richness and fame has not yet begun. Master your mansion, homemedicusa.com if you need more information, and if you want to get those, maybe a link so that you can get the oriental stuff or the redwood, or if you want to be maybe clear on clear all heart versus clear versus whatever else we may have.
Versus B versus.
That's the place to go. And if you need a pro, if you need a home inspector, if you need a realtor, I know people who don't suck. So give me a call, and I'll probably answer.
I'm sure glad you know people that don't suck, because I wouldn't want to suck.
I know plenty of people that do suck too, and I'm not going to refer you to them. And finally, and as always, be yourself, because everybody else, they're already taken.
Good to be with you.
Okay.
All right.
That was probably a 20-minute video.
I know. I wanted to throw a little personality.